So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagvatam 7th Canto. This chapter is entitled Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers. And we're going to read text 20. Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasmai Yata Yad Uta Yas Tu Aparam Paro Va Yasmayata Yad Uta Yas Twapara Parova Bhava Karoti Vikaroti Pritak Swabhava Bhava Karoto Vikaroti Pritak Swabhava Sanchoditas Tad Akila Bhavata Swarupam Sanchoditas Tad Akila Bhavata Swarupam Yasman Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasmayata Yad Utayas Twapara Parova Bhava Karoti Vikaroti Pritak Swabhava Sanchoditas Tad Akilam Bhavata Swarupa Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasmayata Yadutayas Twapara Parova Bhava Karoti Vikaroti Pritak Swabhava Sanchoditas Tad Akilam Bhavata Swarupam Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasme Yata Yad Utayas Twapara Parova Bhava Karoti Vikaroti Pitak Swabhava Sanchoditas Tad Akilam Bhavata Swarupam Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Cha Yajya Yasmad Yasme Yata Yad Utayas Twapara Parova Bhava Karoti Vikaroti Pritak Swabhava Sanchoditas Tad Akilam Bhavata Swarupam Yasmin yato yahi yena cha yasya yasmad. Yasme yata yaduta yastvapara parova. Bhava karoti vikaroti pitak svabhava. Sanchoditas tadakiram bhavata swarupam. Yasmin, in any condition of life, yata, because of anything, yahi, at any time, past, present, or future, yena, by something, cha, also, yasya, in relationship with anyone, yasmat, from any causal representative, yasma, unto anyone, without discrimination in regard to place, person, or time. Yata, in any manner, yat, whatever it may be, uta, certainly, ya, anyone who, tu, but, apara, the other, para, the supreme, va, or, bhava, being, karoti, does, vikaroti, changes, pritak, separate, swabhava, nature under the influence of the different modes of material nature. Sanchodita, being influenced. Tat, that. Akila, or bhavata, of your lordship. Sarupam, emanated from your different energies. Translation. My dear Lord, everyone in this material world is under the modes of material nature, being influenced by goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everyone, from the greatest personality, Lord Brahma, down to the small ant, works under the influence of these modes. Therefore, everyone in this material world is influenced by your energy. The cause for which they work, the place where they work, the time when they work, the matter due to which they work, the goal of life they have considered final, and the process for obtaining this goal, all are nothing but manifestations of your energy. Indeed, since the energy and the energetic are identical, all of them are but manifestations of you. That's good, isn't it, for a 5-year-old boy? He must have been empowered by Lord Nrsimhadev as well. Okay, so if everybody responds, please. My dear Lord, everyone in the material world is under the modes of material nature, being influenced by goodness, passion, and ignorance. Everyone from the greatest personality, Lord Brahma, down to the small ant, works under the influence of these modes. Everyone in this material world is influenced by your energy. The cause for which they work, the place where they work, the time when they work, the matter due to which they work, the goal of life they have considered final, the process for obtaining the goal, all are nothing but manifestations of your energy. Indeed, since the energy and the energetic are identical, all of them are but manifestations of you. Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Whether one thinks himself protected by his parents, by the government, by some place, or by some other cause, everything is due to various potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everything there is done, whether in the higher, middle, or lower planetary systems, is due to the supervision or control of the Supreme Lord. It is therefore said, Kamanadeva netrena janto detu papatyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supersoul, within the core of everyone's heart, gives inspirations for action according to one's mentality. All of these mentalities are merely facilities given by Krishna to the person acting. Bhagavad Gita therefore says, Mataha smita jnanam apohanam cha. Everyone works according to the inspiration given by the Supersoul. Because everyone has a different goal of life, everyone acts differently, as guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The words Yasmin Yato Yahi Yena Chayashi Yasmat indicate that all activities, wherever they may be, are but different features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of them are created by the living entities. And fulfilled by the mercy of the Lord. All such activities are none different from the Lord. The Lord nonetheless directs Savadam Paritrajam Mekam Sharanam Raja. Give up all of the duties and surrender unto me. When we accept this direction from the Lord, we can actually become happy. As long as we work according to our own material senses, we are in material life. But as soon as we act according to the real, transcendental direction of the Lord, our position is spiritual. The activities of bhakti, devotional service, are directly under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Narad Pancharatra states, Savapodi Vinaya Muktam, Tat Parat Vena Nirmalam, Hrishikena Hrishikesh Sevanam Bhakti Uchyate. When one gives up materially designed positions and works directly under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's spiritual life is revived. This is described as Sarupena Avastiti, being situated in one's original constitutional position. This is the real description of mukti, or liberation from material bondage. Thank you very much. Omagana Timiranda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranvili Tamyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivas Hari Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyascha Paritanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I've just been reading, Shiv Ramraj has brought out the third volume of Vilapka Samanjali, and he's saying that we lay a lot of emphasis on what your rupa is, what your swarupa is, your original position. But he said there's 11 aspects to your constitutional position. As well as your rupa, there's your nam, your vesh, which is what you're wearing, your dress, your desh, the place where you live, the person who you're married to, your yuteshwari, and the yuta, the group that you're with. And he said for us in ISKCON, for most of us, our yuteshwari is Srimati Radharani. She's the boss. And then we're in a group. And then we're under some Saki. So as one becomes aware of his swarup, he becomes aware also of his relationship. And what his service is seva. And then there's seva, which is Ashtakaleya Leela, which is just regular routine service. And then there's Namitika, which is when you have some special talent. And they say, oh, Krishna needs some fragrant water. Go and get such and such. She's really good at that. And that just happens on the occasion. So that's the there's 11 different aspects of what your original position is, your constitutional position. So Prahlad is speaking that he sees everything as Krishna. So he's already been through quite an intense series of events, and he wasn't afraid. And now he's explaining why he wasn't afraid, because he could see that everything, whatever it was just the energy of the Lord. So generally for us, when things go well, we see that that's Krishna's mercy. But when things don't go well, then Prabhupada refers to that as the conception of void born of frustration. So when things don't go the way that you want according to your plan, then, well, maybe Krishna isn't really God. Maybe there's just nothing after all this. Nothing's making sense. When things don't go the way that we want, then the conception of void may come up, born of frustration. So the challenge is that when you're going through difficulty, are you able to see that this is Krishna? Krishna's making an arrangement here. This is Krishna's energy. Everything is happening uniformly. Panam Bada Panamadam Punat Punamudachate Punasha Panamadaya Punameva Vishishate. Everything is perfect and complete. And whatever is taking place, if we're born deformed, we're born perfectly and completely deformed according to the karma that we have and whatever the lesson is that we're supposed to learn. So that's the challenge. Can you see that this is Krishna behind everything? In the spiritual world, it's easy to see Krishna behind everything because Krishna's right there in front of us. And that's why in the material world, if someone's trying to be Krishna conscious, even if they're trying to be Krishna conscious, it's like a diamond on a black blanket. You have a blanket, black blanket, and you just put one diamond, and you see the diamond because there's nothing else that's twinkling like that. And in the material world, everyone is here forgetting Krishna, all the 8,400,000 species of life, and then there's just this tiny little jiva trying to be Krishna conscious. So that draws Krishna's attention. And if we're trying to make the effort to understand how is what is happening right now in my life Krishna's arrangement, all the energies of Krishna and everything that's going on is to help us progress in our spiritual life if we take it the right way. It's not necessarily that just because you're in class that you're learning or you're even listening or paying attention or even interested. You may be there physically in class, but that doesn't guarantee you're going to pass the exam. Depends how you apply yourself whilst you're in the class. And you may even learn all the answers that you're supposed to say, but when the actual test comes, then it may turn out that you don't really understand anything. So obviously Prahlad, he's one of the great Mahajans, and he was fully aware all the time, not just now when things are going well, but even when his father was trying to kill him in so many ways. He was given poisoned food, and he offered the food, and it became prasadam, and then there was no poison. It became purified. So for Prahlad, because he was so surrendered, he was directly seeing how he was being protected by the Lord. So according to how much we are surrendered will determine how much protection we're getting. So sometimes it's also an indication that we're not so Krishna conscious, that we're not getting so much protection. Anyway, we have our plan, and Krishna has his plan. And if you want to make Krishna laugh, just tell him your plan. And the difference as well is, our plan is just based upon what we know right now, and a little speculation about what's going to happen, and some vague memory about what has happened. That's what we go on with our plan. With Krishna, his plan, he knows everything that's happened. He knows everything that's going to take place, and he knows everything that's happening right now. So nobody can come up with a better plan than Krishna. And if you can just pray to Krishna, please let me be in your plan for spreading Krishna consciousness. Shishikodanithai Mayapo Shashi Ki Jai. Any questions or comments? Srila Prabhupada said he said it's simple for the simple, and he said complicated for the complicated, and he also said complicated for the crooked. Yeah. Sometimes we don't see Krishna's plan at the time. We certainly didn't see it before it was going to happen. So Rupa Goswami says, Utsaha Nishchat Dariyat. He says, be patient. So sometimes you don't see the plan until afterwards. And hindsight is a luxury that is only afforded to people with patience. Unless you're patient, you won't be able to have hindsight, because you'll discontinue the process and you'll go off to do something else. So there'll be nothing to reflect on about how things worked out okay or didn't, or that now I see the plan. But if you continue on in your practice of Krishna consciousness and go through some difficulty, which at the time is very bewildering, then later on reflection, like the family that wanted to go on the ocean cruise and they couldn't because their son was sick, so they stayed back and lost all their money. And then in the paper it said the Titanic had sunk and they would have been on the cruise. So they didn't appreciate it was Krishna's mercy at the time, but later on, in hindsight, they were able to appreciate it. So if you just continue on in your practices of Krishna consciousness, despite sometimes being bewildered by apparent reverses, then over a period of time, you'll look back and realize that that's why it happened the way it happened. Whatever it is, I mean, the devotees, we lost Chaitanya College, and the devotees say it was such a shame, we should have kept it. And then we lost the center in Edinburgh. And Srila Prabhupada was really angry when he found out that they'd given it up. He didn't like it that you just put some deities, you invite the Lord, and then you kick him out. Very offensive. So he was very angry at that. So that wasn't his plan. So because Krishna is so agile, he can adjust all the time. And I'm just reading that in Chaitanya Charan, actually, in Bhagavad Gita Reflections. Krishna can make something good out of something bad. So we make a mistake, we sell Chaitanya College, we get rid of the center in Forest Road in Edinburgh, we make a mistake, then Krishna's got to try and make something good out of that, which he can do. But of course he can only do that if the devotees are prepared to ask for his help and intervention. Then despite, even though we are making mistakes and not falling in with Krishna's plan, still he can still help make something of the mistakes that we make. But we need his help to do that. Of course, the best thing is not to make mistakes in the first place. But to err is human. And to completely make a mess of it, then you need a computer. So Krishna can, it's amazing to think how Krishna must see things, because we see things like they have this thing called a time worm, and it starts off and then it goes through its stages and then it finishes, and we only see one like slither of the time worm. We just see right now. But if you could see the whole thing, if you saw a person's life all in one go, then you would see how he was growing, and then he got bigger, and then he shrunk, and then he became old, and then he died. That would all be there in the one image. And we don't see that. We just see one frozen image right now, which is in between the past, which is just now. Now is the past, and the future. And how long is it in between the future and the past? If you have to separate the future from the past, they say that that time is the time it takes a proton, is it a proton of light, to go across the smallest particle in the universe. That's how long now lasts. It's discussed in that book in Mechanistic and Non-Mechanistic Science by Sadhbhuta Prabhu. Is everything flowing, or do we just go from one instant to the next like this, like mechanical? Like right now, nothing's happening, and then something else happens. Is it like that? Or does time flow? If time flows and it can't be split into like a split second where nothing happens, where it's just, then that's spiritual. And spiritual is eternal. And the eternal present. There's no past and there's no future in the spiritual world. It's just now. So you don't have to worry about what the plan is, because the plan is right now, whatever it is. This is it. Interesting. And then when you're concentrating on something, say you're trying to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So as you're chanting it, the mantra is going into the past, and the future part of the mantra is coming up. But how much you can focus on right now is Hare. Then now it's in the past, and then you're onto Krishna. Hare, Krishna, 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 Hare, Hare. It's like having a torch, and you shine the torch, and all you can get on the beam is the one word. And so that beam is how you're experiencing now. And in the spiritual world, that now just goes on forever. It's like having a torch, which is like when you put it on, it just encompasses everything. You're conscious of everything. There's no past and no future. And that now is ever increasing. So the way plans work in the spiritual world are a little bit different than the way they work here in the material world. But it's funny because although people don't think that they believe in Krishna or that they believe in the spiritual world, they behave as if they were. They behave as if everything is eternal, because it's the only way you can function. So if you're 10 years old, then you're 10 years old forever. That's how you live. And then when you're an old person, you just think the person was always old. You don't. I mean, you know he was young, but you don't really interact with him like that. It's just, okay, what's the situation? Okay, you're the old guy, right? And you're the young kid, okay? And we're in a park, and it's green grass and blue sky, and we're gonna have something to eat. Okay, let's do this. As if it's all just going to be forever, you know. That's the only way you can do it. And then so then always misery follows, because we have to go back now. That was such a nice day that we had in the park. Well, we can't go to the park today. And then people are sad because you want to be in the park forever, having a picnic forever with all your friends forever that never grow old and never die. Well, you have to go back to the spiritual world then. And then people just think, well, you just have to accept that this is what it is, you know. Can't build your hopes up too high. Just got to be real about things, you know. Just nothing really lasts. Nobody really stays with you for any real length of time. It's just what the way it is, you know. In the material world, don't build your hopes up. Any other questions or comments? Well, A comfort zone would be, there's a problem called niyamagraha, and niyamagraha means to be in your comfort zone or going too far out of your comfort zone. That's niyamagraha. That's how one way Shiva Ramanuja explains it. In other words, how long you been chanting Hare Krishna? 10 years. Okay. How many mantras can you hear? Half of one before I fall asleep. Okay, so that's maybe not so good. You should maybe be getting into the guna, the rupa, the lila. You should be able to chant namabas, focus and get glimpses of Shuddhanam. So then you would have to look at yourself and think, okay, I should be a lot more further on than I am, you know. Or you could be just chanting for 6 months and you're putting a sari on because you want to be a manjari now and you're going to dance around while you're chanting and roll on the ground. So that would be impertinent, that you've gone way beyond your station. So niyamagraha means either going, not knowing really exactly where you are and what it is that you should be practicing right now and what is your next step to make progress, or shunning the next step. Oh, I don't think I want to, I'm not advanced enough for that. And then we use that as an excuse to hang back and stay in our comfort zone. We say, oh, well, I'm just very fallen, you know. But that's just an excuse so that I don't have to push myself. I'm just very conditioned, probably. You know, don't expect me to don't expect too much out of me. So in that way, we actually stunt our growth because we're afraid or we're lazy or a combination of things. We don't go forward. Sankalpa Kamudi is a nice book by Shiva Ramanuja, and it's all about analyzing where you are. You're still at the Anata Nivritti stage. Do you sometimes experience ruchi? What can you do to deepen your practices? What are you still holding on to that you should have become free of by now? One time there was an old guy dying, and what happened was actually the king was speaking to his minister, Birbal. Birbal said, this sex desire is with the living entity even up to the point of death. And the Maharaj, at the time, he says, no, I can't believe that. He says, surely when you're getting older and you can't physically enjoy yourself like that anymore, surely then the desire will just go away. And he said, okay, I'll prove it to you. Meet me here tomorrow at the same time with your daughter. And the king had a very beautiful daughter. So the king turned up the next day, and they took him down to this hospital ward. And there was this old guy, and he was just dying. You know? And the king came in. That was it. And then the king's daughter walked past him. Like that. And then Birbal said, see, he's still attracted. So by the time you get to that age, you should be thinking, I need to be free of this desire, you know. If I'm still attracted to this at this stage, this is really bad, you know. So as we're making progress in our spiritual lives, we should see the unwanted things going. Maybe we behave in a way which is not so nice, and in the beginning, what can you do, you know? But as you continue on, you should be getting regular feedback from devotees. Oh, that's not really appropriate. That type of attitude is not really appropriate. It's not going to help you in your spiritual life. You need to get free from it. And then over a period of a few months, we get free of that attitude, and then we deal with something else, you know. That's what should be happening. If we're not getting any feedback, then it's going to be hard to really charter our progress. If we don't have anybody in our life who can be very honest, very candid with us and tell us things. Someone that we can trust to tell us truthfully what it is, you know. Or at least if you can reflect yourself, introspect, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, nobody can harm you unless you harm yourself. He says, when other people criticize you, he says, rather than attacking them, who do you think you are calling me that? Ain't looking to stay at you, which is actually what hurts you. Instead, you introspect and you look at yourself, you find faults with yourself. As soon as you're finding faults with yourself, you're helping yourself. When you're finding faults with others, you're hurting yourself. Which is counterintuitive, because you'd think, well, if I have to find faults in myself, isn't that going to hurt me? It's going to make me feel bad. I'll be discouraged. But you don't. You actually don't. When you see that this is wrong, you could go over to a devotee and say, Prabhu, you've watched me chant japa now for quite a while. What do you think? Am I chanting it? Am I saying the mantra? Am I saying Krishna? Krishna, Krishna, Krishna? Do I think, am I sitting there thinking I'm chanting and I'm actually nodding off? And I'm thinking I'm like going into some deep meditation, but I'm actually just in the mode of ignorance. Unless you get some feedback, how would you know? Because your false ego, have you noticed how your false ego works? If you look in the mirror and you see it and your nose looks really big, and we naturally go like this. And when we're just at the right angle. That's what the false ego is like. When you see something ugly in yourself, the false ego is, yeah, but Prabhu, you didn't get much rest, and who does he think he is? He's only been around for, have you been around 6 months longer than him? Who does he think he is, He can't speak to you like that. That's very cheeky. And then the false ego will adjust it. And then we don't get the feedback. But if we can find faults in ourselves, then we can work on them. If you find a hole in the boat, that's not a problem, is it? Because then at least now, before I go to sea, I can get that sorted. But if you leave it, and then finally, when it does come the time, the point of death, and you jump in the ocean with your boat, we think we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as the captain of the ship, cross over this dark ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So if you just hop in at the end of life, and then, oh, that's really bad, that's a bad hole there, no? And you start sinking because you weren't open to feedback during your life to find out what it was that needed to be corrected. Then it won't be so easy to sail over the ocean with a sinking boat. They have a saying, wherever floats your boat. You ever heard that? So whatever it takes for you to stay buoyant in Krishna consciousness, and whatever it is that's making you become unfavorable or is unfavorable, that needs to be addressed. The end result of whatever, it's like, you do a calculation and 2 plus plu, and then minus 3, and then plus 15 divided by 67 equals. Well, the equation in Krishna consciousness says, whatever it is you're doing, I get up and I wake Srila Prabhupada, and then I chant 16 rounds, and I circumambulate Tulsi, and then I take prashad, and then it should, at the end of it all, it should equal joyful. If it doesn't equal joyful, then something went wrong in the equation. Something got left out. That should be the result. Sukham kartam avyayam. It is joyfully performed. So if you're not doing it joyfully, then it's not devotional service. It's just some kind of moded out facsimile of your impression of what you think devotional service is. But it has to be joyfully. It has to be like with excitement, with enthusiasm, bubbling over. Then you've got the right result from the equation. Otherwise, you've got to go back and think, okay, well, maybe it's not minus 52. Maybe I need to change that to minus 51. Maybe it needs to be times 3. And then we look at our application of Krishna consciousness so that we can get that joyful result, joyfully performed. Raja Vijaya Rajaguya. Prayaksagavalam Damyam is the perfection, because it gives you direct perception of religion. It's not just a belief system. I believe in the Lord Krishna. And I'm bold again. I've been shaved by the Lord. And I do believe in the Lord. Pratyaksagavamam dam yam is it's perception. Pratyak is direct perception. Pratyaksagavamam dam yam. That's the perfection. To directly perceive Krishna. ISKCON Guru Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol. Jai to you.